What's up, guys? It's Kyle with another episode of Unlock Your Inner Strength. And today I have a longtime friend who started out as an athlete at Newell Strength, Greg Grippo. Greg, thanks for being with me, buddy.
Thank you for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Greg started back when he was going to Rutgers Prep. And did you trained in my basement, right? My parents'
I was
basement,
one of
think.
the beginners. Yeah.
Yeah, early on. So he was there before the first actual facility. I was going to the school to work with this team. And at that point, you were a junior, I believe, right?
Yeah, I was junior. Yeah.
Junior.
I must have been 17. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were looking, you already had your eyes. I mean, the vision was to play college ball, and you wound up going to Vermont, right?
Yeah. I don't even think I don't think I had a scholarship yet. Yeah. I started training with you beginning of my junior year, and I was going into that year as my first year at prep, and that's when we all transferred in. And then that summer is when I got a scholarship offer. Yeah, that summer after.
And you transferred in from Edison.
Edison High, yeah.
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 Yeah, you guys had a good team. That was when Coach Ortelli, that was
Yeah.
your first year, right?
I loved Ortelli. There was just like a presence about that guy
Yeah.
whenever he walked in a gym. I loved it. I loved it.
Ortelli was a coach. Coach Ortelli, he'd been coaching forever, and he was at Bridgewater, when I was in high school, so I would get to play against him. He was always the best, man. He had the most county titles of any coach. He was actually Bridgewater, Ortelli, for years.
Yeah,
I think early
yeah. We
90s.
ended up. Do you remember how we lost to them in the? Like it
Well,
was my senior.
I wasn't there for that, but I remember I was watching, checking online,
Mm-hmm.
and was that against Gill?
No, against Bridgewater.
that was
against his old school.
What
and then
round was that, though?
that was to go to the finals
Of the counties.
yeah, of the counties, and we had our freshman Levi. I got fouled out that game, and it was in overtime, and there was 2 seconds left, and Levi like jumped in the middle for a pass. It ricocheted off his hand from the foul line and went into the basket at the buzzer.
For them.
For them, yeah.
Yeah, I remember realizing this is unbelievable.
It was the craziest ending I've ever seen.
There's nothing you can do with that, right?
Yeah.
And the year before, what did you guys go to when you were a junior, your first year there?
We went to the finals.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we were good that year.
And that was
Yeah.
Gill. Did Gill beat you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gil was always had our number. They had a lot
They're
of
still
good players.
loaded, man.
Yeah.
They were terrible when I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't, obviously it was just a prep school, but it wasn't
Yeah.
basketball powerhouse.
Yeah, I try to keep up still, and like I see that. I think his name's Mervin or Merv.
Yeah,
Senior.
yeah.
He's still a coach there. He has. Yeah,
He was very good. Him and Ortelli going head to head was
I loved it. I loved it.
like two college
New Jersey
coaches.
basketball.
It's the best. The best, man.
It's awesome. I love it.
the best. And I remember from Greg at the gym, he always was able to like jump out of the gym. Literally, I mean, what was your vertical at the top? I don't think we ever measured the actual vertical.
I don't know. I mean, I was doing box jumps that
It
were
was
like
42. I think we had a 46, 48 incher and then step plates on top.
Yeah, I mean, if I took a step, I could definitely get one that was like high 50s, low 60s.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you had the fastest 40 time. I know people.
Yeah, people hate on me for that.
Like, yeah, I did it with the stopwatch, but it
Yeah.
was still 4:27. We still have it at the gym, man.
I was quick.
Yeah, well, it makes sense with the jumping and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What age were you able to first dunk it? Like what grade?
It was with you.
Oh, yeah?
Because sophomore year in Edison, I was hardly getting over the rim. But after with you, I mean, we were doing like that resistant jumping. Everything was
Yeah,
with
the vertex.
resistance.
Yeah.
And I mean, my elbow was at the rim at the end of my
It's
junior
crazy,
year.
dude.
It was crazy how much it went up
It was
during like that
nuts.
span of a year.
It was nuts, man. And with that athleticism, when you went to college with that type of athleticism, was it still superior to most of your teammates as far as the athleticism?
God, no.
Really? No?
College is a different story. I mean, it was tough for me because, I mean, you have all these guys that are like the best in their, relative state all over the country. And then, by the time I got in, I was kind of labeled just like as a shooter. So, I mean, it was tough. It was definitely, I definitely had to adapt with the playing field in my college career. And I definitely gravitated more towards, the 3-point line.
And that was St. Michael's, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, St. Mike's.
D2?
D2.
How did you guys do when you were there?
We had a couple down years, but my freshman year was we went through a coaching change at the end of my freshman year. His name was Coach Harding. I'm not too sure where he is now, but he's the one that offered me. I mean, this guy, he ran us to the ground, and we were the best defensive team in the country.
Your freshman year.
Yeah, my freshman year. We gave up, I think, around like 27 points a game. I
Wow.
mean, it was, and then like the next team like was giving up like 35. So there was like about an 8-point difference with us. So I mean,
Nice.
we didn't let people score on us. It was because of how in shape we were, but we just didn't have that like offensive, mindset. And my junior year was definitely our year. We were going into that favorites to win the NE10, which is like the toughest conference in D2.
Is that right?
Yeah, we have some good schools in that conference, like St. Anselm's, who always ends up being in like the Elite Eight. Stonehill, who usually goes pretty far. UNH, and we beat UVM, who won the American East that year, who was D1 and ended up going to the tournament.
You beat them.
Yeah, we beat them on their own floor. Yeah,
Okay. How much you beat them by?
just 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge, though.
Yeah,
D2 beats D1.
it was huge for us because it just validated about like how far we can go. But there's something with like the mindset, something with teams, because like we fell off. We couldn't get over some sort of hump towards the end of the season. I mean, we were losing to teams that we shouldn't have lost to. I think we lost 4 of our last 5 to end the season, and we dropped ourselves out of the tournament.
Junior year.
Yeah, junior year, which should have never happened.
It is, man. It's all mindset.
Yeah.
It's all mindset and momentum. That leads to momentum. And
Yeah, no, exactly.
Powerful either way, man.
It's crazy. Yeah.
You can see it. That's why sports is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you going into your freshman year, did you start at all?
So I had a kid above me. I mean, I was going into school and like a lot of the kids were older than me. I mean, they did prep. They also stayed back a year. They also redshirted a year. So I mean, I had one kid over me that was a grade above me that was about 3 or 4 years older than me. I mean, this guy can like light the gym up too.
Where was he from?
He was from Oregon.
Wow.
And I had a few kids from Oregon on my team. But I mean, yeah, the crew above me, they had about 6 upperclassmen above me. One of the guys got hurt. I stepped in to a starting role my freshman year. I think I had my best year freshman year because I just played. I wasn't supposed to be starting, and like I feel like I didn't have any really pressure. And I just played, and I think I shot like 48% from 3 that year.
Freshman year?
Yeah, freshman year. I had a great year.
It's good, and you guys had a good team. You said.
Yeah, really good team.
That was a defensive team.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys make it in like the conference tournament, or did you make it to the?
In conference, our best year, junior year, we lost in the. We didn't even make it to semifinals.
In the conference.
Yeah, we didn't even make it to semifinals in the conference. We lost in the quarterfinals because we ended up losing like home court advantage because of our dropping like our games like towards the end of the year, like 4 of our last 5 or 6.
And how does it work with D2? Is it as far as March Madness goes? How many teams make that? Is it the same?
No, I don't think it's the same.
No.
I think they like cut it in half.
Like 32 maybe?
Yeah, I think it's about 32. Yeah.
And you guys never had the chance to make that?
Never had the chance. My sophomore year, we thought we were going to make it. I mean, we had a camera crew come in from our school, and they were filming us at our coach's house. And we thought that we were going to make it. And
for the announcement?
For the announcement, because they were like doing like the brackets for D2. And Lemoyne ended up jumping us somehow. I don't know.
Okay.
And yeah, we got screwed. But I mean, we did to ourselves. We shot ourselves. Is that me or? I'm hearing like a phone in here, dude.
So where did you go when you went to school? Obviously, for the basketball, you got a basketball scholarship.
Right.
What did you go to major in? Did you know what you wanted to study?
I had no idea what I wanted to major in. That was a tough time for me, just because like I didn't know which direction I wanted to go in life. I really had no idea. I mean, most of my friends on the team, they were all in like business management, or business marketing. And like those classes typically aligned with our schedule. They were either like early mornings or like late night classes. And like, our coach kind of like, if we didn't know what we wanted to do, they kind of like pushed us towards majoring in business. And that's, what I ended up doing.
That's what you did?
Yeah.
business. How
Yeah.
many people were at that school at St. Michael's?
2,500 at the time with me.
Co-ed.
Yeah. Pretty small.
You had a good experience though, besides basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I had my freshman year definitely wasn't the best. I mean, I didn't have like the best of friends my freshman year on my team. And after my coach left, I remember talking with my dad. I really wanted to start like weighing my options and maybe go somewhere else. I mean, it was freezing there,
Sure,
and
yeah.
I didn't love the culture at St. Mike's my freshman year. But I had another kid come in who I ended up becoming like lifelong buddies with now. He's like one of my best friends, Dave.
Where's Dave live?
He is from Egg Harbor Township,
Oh yeah.
over here in Jersey.
Where did he? Was that where he play? Like where did he play down there?
He went to St. Augustine Prep.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had a really good team. But I mean, I was like weighing my options. I was thinking about going to like Stonehill or Bentley, somewhere like that after my coach left. But I stuck it out, and I mean, it was a blessing in disguise because I just as much as like I didn't love the culture over there, I mean, I just got my friends out of it.
Yeah.
A good group of guys.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it's about, man. Yeah, the
Yeah.
relationships. Everything comes down to that
No, exactly.
in life. Everything comes from a relationship. So you got out. What year did you graduate college?
2016.
16.
Yeah.
I remember you wanted to dabble with potentially getting into coaching. So
Yeah.
you for a little bit at the gym, but then you were doing something with video. You wanted to do videography, right, or something with media. I remember you took something in the city.
No, yeah, I did acting classes.
It was acting
Yeah,
classes.
I got accepted into a 2-year acting school. I mean, it was intense too. I was there. I was taking a train from Edison to Penn Station every single morning at like 7 a.m. 6 days a week, getting back at like 6 p.m. every single day.
And so, where did that decision come from? That was something like even a seed in your head that you wanted to do that.
I just felt like after getting a full ride, I really wanted to. I didn't want to do anything really in business. I mean, right out of college, I took this finance job, and like I remember I was studying for my Series 6. I got my life accident health license, and like I remember sitting at this desk in Boston, and I'm doing these cold calls, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing in life right now? Like this is not me. I just wanted to do more in my life. I didn't know what. I think what intrigued me about acting is like every class that like I sat through or watched, like I always like admired the people like who were able to just like get up there and like create something, and I just knew I wanted to just create. I didn't know where it would lead me. I didn't know if like I was going to become an actor. I just knew that I wanted to do more in my life. And I met like a lot of people that year that like I was also under your wing for those few weeks. And I had just, the luxury of just like meeting like these people out in Brooklyn. They introduced me to like this book. It was called like the William Esper Studio book. I ended up reading this guy's book, and like it was all about like mindset, just like giving yourself up, like letting your walls down. It felt like I was at like a point in my life where I was still trying to figure out who I was. I mean, I was just like a kid, and all I knew was basketball. And I was also just trying to figure out who I am, break down my walls. And it was just a blessing, man. Just like being in that world. I knew pretty early on that I wasn't going to become an actor in my life. I mean, that shit's hard. One, I mean, you have to be very vulnerable to be up there in front of people and just give yourself to people. But also, I mean, it broke down a lot of insecurities. It made me feel comfortable in like who I am, and it made me really the person who I am today.
Going to the acting school.
Yeah, definitely.
But and then how many weeks or months was that? They were going like 7 to 6 every day, 6 days a week.
6 days a week. Yeah, Monday through Saturday. Classes. I mean, it was like a school. Classes started.
How many months was it? It was 2 years, you said.
Yeah, 2 years. There would be like a month summer break kind
That's
of
it.
thing. Yeah.
But you knew when you were going that you didn't want to become like quote unquote an actor.
Yeah, I mean, all these kids had like such a desire. I mean, and like I've been in competitive atmospheres throughout my life with basketball, and you kind of know early on with the team like who's really like invested, who's not, who's going to take this far, who's going to want to go to college. And for me, I mean, I just didn't have that same drive as people in there. I could see it in people's eyes that like these kids did not care if like they were gonna be sleeping in their cars and like, like waiting for auditions like every single day. I didn't have that in me. I didn't have that drive. I knew that this was gonna help me somehow, some way, but like I did not have that drive to be sleeping in my car and like trying to make a life out of this.
Yeah, yeah. And you had to do a lot of improv when you were there?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be pretty tough, right?
It was tough. It was tough. I mean, we also it was the craziest fucking experience of my life. They had like all these crazy classes. We had this thing called mass class, where like this guy came in. He was a certified witch. He like had a badge for it and everything. His name was Akil. It was the most interesting class I ever sat through. I mean, there needs to be a show written about this damn class. This guy came in this big ass robe. He literally looked like this like wizard, and like he puts down all of these masks in front of us. And they're all just like very like almost demonic looking. And like he tells us like this story about how they each been blessed, about like how there's different character traits of each mask, and they turn you into somebody. And like it was once a week that I attended that class, and it made you see life so differently. He kind of like was teaching us like how, or not teaching, just sharing with us what his beliefs in the world, about like how energy is such a thing, about like how for us to like be able to be aware of like us walking down the street in New York City, something as simple as crossing the road, who you're moving out of the way for. If people are moving out of the way for you, what that says about yourself, about like what that says for a person. If like you see like straight ahead, if like they're just like eyes just like down, not really seeing you, and like you want to move away from them. It's just like all about energy. And like the class was just, all about like the energy you give and receive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's everything is about the vibrational energy.
Yeah.
People don't realize the mind is really is a transmitter. It's like a radio.
No, it's incredible.
Putting out energy, taking energy. You see that up there? That's Tesla. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
He's they say his IQ was like 300, but he was like on another level. But and he had a lot of stuff that was created that was never brought to public, but that's what he would talk about.
Yeah.
His ideas and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Totally.
So that the witch guy only came in once?
Yeah, once a week.
I wonder what he's up to.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I think about that a lot. I mean, this guy was fit too. He was ripped. Really? He was like 40 something, and he looked like he was 18. Yeah, this guy was awesome.
Never heard of a male witch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, neither have I until that day. Yeah,
there's a lot of interesting stuff with witches and a lot of that.
I agree.
There is, man.
It's definitely a world I wasn't, introduced to before, prior, but
they're interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting people. So then when you did the acting, you did 2 years.
Yeah.
Then but you knew that you didn't want to become an actor. So what was the next thing? Like as you progressed on your path, what was after the acting school? Did you hire an agent? Like what was the next?
No. So what ended up happening next? It was midway through my second year. I mean, like we're reading Shakespeare and everything. It was like voice and speech class. Voice and speech, it was like its own beast. Like just like the way you say consonants, and like what that effect has on people. And it's like more demanding, or like, you have like more of like a soft roll, and you don't hit those consonants. And like, I just like wasn't loving it. And I knew I wasn't gonna like progress or like want to proceed with acting. And on top of that, I had this like gut feeling, after like my dad, the shit ended up happening with my dad. We went to the Knicks game, and then the next night, or the next morning, I woke up to take a train into the city, and he just like didn't sleep well. He was just like in like a lot of discomfort. And I woke up the next morning. I was headed to the train. My parents weren't there. I was 23, 24 at the time. And I remember sitting through class and being like, I got a weird gut feeling about this for some reason. Like something.
They weren't at the house when you left.
Yeah. They were, I guess he went like overnight. And like, I didn't have any text on my phone. I remember calling my mom. She like wasn't picking up. So I imagined it was something with my dad. Cause like I remember that he was in like discomfort and he went to the hospital prior and they said it was nothing.
So he was fine. I mean, he wasn't feeling well, but it wasn't. He was fine, and then that morning or
I
overnight,
mean,
he had discomfort.
yeah, I mean, prior, the night before we were at the Knicks game and we were
You and
running,
him.
yeah, we were running through like, we got to drink, beers on like 38th Street. And then, I mean, we were running to the Knicks game, like running for blocks, you know, going to 34th Street to catch the game. So, I mean, he seemed like a healthy dude to me. And then the next day I got a call that it was stage 4. And I just remember rushing to the hospital. And yeah, I mean, that was a crazy time.
Stage 4. What was it? Pancreatic again?
Yeah, it started in his liver, but then it started spreading.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough, man.
Yeah.
I remember. So it was like 2018,
Yeah.
right?
hmm
Yeah, I remember you guys got in touch with me.
Yeah.
I don't know, but when I was drinking Devin, we had just had Colt,
Right.
right? And I was drinking I can't even think what the hell you call it, but the rich part of the breast milk.
Right.
But then you had looked into there's huge anti-cancer benefits to
Right.
it.
Yeah. I remember calling you about that.
like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just trying.
No, trust me. I mean, I was just trying to, I mean, yeah, being
Do
in that,
anything, right?
yeah, do anything at that point, you know, try to find any sort of research that like because they were pretty much saying for him, like chemo is just like too far gone. And he's like past that point where it's like too angry of a cancer. So, I mean, we had to like kind of go the holistic route. And it was like a lot of juicing, trying to starve the cancer, because like cancer can't live in like an ionized body. So, I mean, we were trying to like just starve the hell out of it and just bring as much like water and energy into him as we can.
And so when he was diagnosed, what was that? Like, what month? What was that?
That was February. So that was almost, you know, I actually have the Knicks ticket in my damn
Do you really?
wallet still. Yeah. Where is this thing? There it is.
What's that?
Hold on. No, that's different ticket. Hold on for a second.
So you and him went to the game by yourselves.
Yeah,
Who'd
we
they
went
play?
the Bucks. It was actually a crazy game. Giannis ended up jumping over somebody for a dunk. It was pretty cool to see.
Nice.
Yeah, hold on for a second. I got this somewhere.
That's
in
cool that
here.
you kept it, man. I do that. I got a lot of my old.
Yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, February 6, 2018. That was the game we went to. That was like
Okay.
my last normal day
Friday
with them.
night.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah,
That's cool, man. You got to frame that one day.
yeah, right?
That's neat.
Yeah.
So you guys went to the game, and then so he was diagnosed pretty much the next day.
Yeah.
And then I know it progressed quickly, but how long did he have left? And did that give him an idea?
Yeah, I mean, that's what pissed me off about it. I mean, I know doctors know, you know, what they're doing and, you know, they study for long. I think like what I have an issue with is like when you give somebody like a timeline, and, you know, like putting on that like timeline with him, like telling him he has 3 weeks to live, I think like really put him in like a negative direction.
Sure. Yeah.
Because he didn't think he stood a chance. You know, I wish that they would like voice it, just being like, you know, like I'm not gonna lie to you, like you do have like an angry cancer, but like you've been living normally for this long with it, and like we do think we can get you
man. It's
better.
power of belief.
You know, I do think like 80 to 90% of the battle is what you believe in.
It is.
And I think, you know, there could have been a different outcome if like it was worded to him differently, sadly. But I mean, like you could just tell from his state that he was just already defeated. And that was the worst part about it, is that like he didn't really give himself a chance, because like the doctors like who he believed in the most weren't giving him a chance.
So they told him 3 weeks, or were you?
Yeah, they told him 3 weeks.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. And is that exactly what he made?
I mean, no, he lasted until December 30th. So
Oh, so he almost went a year.
yeah, almost 1 year with it. Yeah.
Almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. Yeah, because Colt was born in May. So you reached out to me that May, late
Right.
May, 2017.
Yeah.
So when he got towards, well, you stage 4 the whole time.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that he gave you in that period of time? Like, you know, it was man to man, or like life advice or wisdom that he dropped to you during that period of time? Does anything come to mind?
You know, not so much. I mean, it was more so just, you know, seeing his love for the family, and like showing me like what I want in life. I mean, like he just had like such like a love for my mom, and I definitely wanted to like find that in life, you know, the
Yeah.
same love that he had for my mom, and like me be able to give that to somebody else. I mean, you could just tell every single day that it was just eating him alive, that like he was gonna leave us. And like, I mean, he voiced his concern to us like almost nightly about like how him not wanting to like leave this earth, and like him not wanting to leave us and us forget about him. And like, it was the hardest part. I mean, he just felt really weak.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember always seeing them at the games. You know,
Yeah.
they always seemed like they had a real strong relationship. When did they start dating? Like when they were younger, like high school or something?
They met, I believe, when they were like 19.
Okay,
So
so yeah, young,
yeah,
young.
yeah.
And it's you. You have a brother and a sister.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of four. I got
I think it's a four.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah, I'm an older brother and two older sisters.
Okay.
Everyone has well, one of my sisters is going on her third kid. Eight nieces and nephews.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. All right. So, who out of you and your siblings was it the toughest on when you were losing your father?
Um, you know, it's tough. It definitely all hit us differently. You know, for I know it hit my brother really hard because him and my dad had like more of like a best friend relationship.
Your oldest brother?
Yeah, my oldest brother, and then my two sisters. It was tough because, you know, they were just like so giving and just like they wanted to give. But like it almost put him in a state that like he can't, like he's not able to like get up and like go get his water. Which I get, like some people's state is like when like they see somebody hurt or sick, like they want to give to them. But like for me, I think it was tough because like I wanted him to be aware that like he's still able to like move around and he's still able to overcome this. So like with him, like I almost tried to like bottle everything inside and act like nothing was going on. And like I just wanted to act normal with him. So I mean, I think he appreciated it at the time, you know, just having like some sense of like
Sure.
normalcy, because like everyone was just like so like babying him in a way. And like I don't think I'm sure he loved being babied. But I do think like he wanted to feel normal again, like life again.
Yeah. It's got to be interesting. I always, think about that often. If you knew that you only had a certain amount of time left, because we only have a certain amount of time
Right.
left. Would you rather know it or not know it?
No,
Like,
exactly.
In some ways it's a blessing
Yeah.
because you could walk out like Kobe Bryant. Think about that.
No, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
it's a weird thing, man. It's cool. It's interesting though. And then so he passed away in the home. Did you have hospice come in?
Yeah, no, it was crazy. For those on Christmas, he was really bad. I mean, like I carried him to his bed, to the couch with my brother, and then he was just like skin and bone at that point. No, he must have like weighed like 75, 80 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, he was a big guy too, as you saw.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember being up that night, and like I just could tell something was off. And I remember contacting my brother and like my sisters, being like, all right, like I think we gotta like bring him to the hospital. And I mean, they put him on pain meds because of like he wasn't really able to talk. I think like when you're like at that stage, like you're obviously like not
Yeah.
able to communicate on a normal level anymore. So like he wasn't really able to speak to us. But like his last day, the night or the day that he passed, he was in his hospital bed and he kept on just saying home, home, home to us. So we rented out an ambulance, rented out like all these like medical supplies, you know, the like for him to get like air when he needed it, or oxygen, a hospital bed to like have in our house. And I mean, we transferred him in, and it was really strange. Like we didn't tell my grandma, his mom, that we were gonna be bringing him back to the house. And when we brought him back to the house, all of a sudden she just like walked in, and she talked to him for a second. He really didn't. He didn't say anything. And then we watched like the end of the Cowboys game, and then that's like when like he just like went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty soon after that. So he got home and then went.
And that was right after Christmas.
Yeah, that was December 30th.
30th.
Mm-hmm.
How's your mom doing now with it?
She's good. You know, we went through different stages. You know, for me, it was I think like, you know, my role throughout this was you know, being the youngest and not having really family priorities, I had to really be the one that I don't want to say took his place, but like almost like filled like his spot in a way where like I was like, taking her out to dinner every night, or, like not staying out with my friends on a Friday night because like the house is empty. So like I wanted to be home, like, and just like turn on the TV for her to like feel like the house is still full. So I mean, it was there was definitely we went through different stages in it all. I mean, but me being like away now, I mean, she's definitely grown a lot. I think it's been best for us and best for her health, like just trying to figure out life. And she's at a good stage now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I'm sure she was probably, just knowing what I know about your mom, she was probably pretty, I would imagine she was pretty like rock steady as you were going through it, at least
Yeah.
what you guys saw.
No, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So then your father passes.
Yeah.
Now we're coming into 2018, right? Coming into 2018.
Yeah, it was
February 17. It made it to December
mhm.
17.
No, it was
Wasn't it December? It was February 17. You guys went to the game.
Was it 17 or 18? I think it was 18.
Was
and
it
then
18?
he passed right before COVID and stuff hit. So like that was so I think he passed on the 19th. Let me see this actual ticket. February 18th is when we went to the game.
But 2018.
Yeah, so then like going into 2019, he was gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right before all the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And at that point, you were done with the acting school?
I wasn't done yet. I was still going through acting.
Still going through that before you did it. And then it's a good, after that passes and you're recovering with that and figuring life out, once the acting and speech and all that stuff, you finished up that. Then what? Like, what was the next step?
It was hard. I mean, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. I was finding myself in like different jobs. I was bartending, weddings.
Did you have to go to school for that?
Yeah, I got my license for bartending. And then I went. I had this guy who was an artist in school, and he's like, "Hey, like, I have this brand that I'm drawing for, that like designing their logo, and they need like a 6'2" fit model, and like so like I just had to go an hour at a time, like in between classes, and they were paying me $100 an hour just to try on clothes for them and just like fit it to my size, and I did that for about like 4 months. I mean, it was crazy how much like they pay you.
This is somebody you met at a wedding?
No, this was a guy in my acting school.
Oh, in your acting
school.
Yeah,
he was like,
if you need when you were bartending.
No, he's like, if you need an extra buck, I mean, like, these people like will definitely pay you a lot, and I'm like, hell yeah. So I just like went in between classes. So I was doing that, and I was also doing Uber, which definitely, I mean, it's a good job, but it's definitely not for like the mentally weak. It was taking a toll on me.
Why is that?
I mean, I guess in like it's not something like you need to be ashamed of at all. It's just like, for me, I think like I was getting self-conscious about it because like I just like, graduating college, and then like all of a sudden, like I'm making most of my money, doing like these like 3 separate things, and like, not everyone's going to have like the best reaction to it. So,
Sure.
I was like, made fun of it for a little bit, like, I'd pick people up that like I knew sometimes, and it would be awkward. They would be like, oh, this is what you're doing. I'd be like, well, shit. I mean, yeah. I mean, the situation sucks. Don't get me wrong, but like, where the fuck are you going?
So you did that. That's pretty funny, picking up people you knew.
Yeah, it was tough.
And then what was the next like big like lily pad that you went from? So you're driving Uber, you're doing this modeling, still going to acting school.
Yeah.
And then where did that progress?
I needed something more stable. And I was also working with my brother on the side. He like owns this like cosmetics business that he like that my uncle started, and like my brother just like kind of has like some stake in. So like I was just kind of like packaging shit for them also. And then I'm like, I want to move to New York City. I want my own place. I think I was 26 at the time, and I agreed. All right, I was just interviewing just to a bunch of places, just like off like Indeed and stuff. And I eventually saw this like recruiting for IT, tech, and marketing for this company called Mondo. I mean, they were paying good for like people like who were just like starting out. And so I signed agreement with them, and then moved to New York City. I was paying rent, barely able to like get by on like the money that I had left after rent, but the rent was so cheap because of COVID.
Hmm.
So like I was really able to do it. And then shortly after that, like it was about like 6 months in, I got a call from an old family friend. He owns a marketing agency, and it was a really good opportunity. It paid less, but he wanted me to help out with like the social media and marketing side of his business. And I was able to work with, I don't know if you ever heard of like the documentary Fantastic Fungi.
Yeah,
It
I've
was
heard
like a
of it. Yeah.
Netflix
Yep.
documentary.
Yep.
Yeah, I was able to do their social media for about like 4 or 5 months. It was a really cool experience.
That's neat.
Yeah, it
So
was
you were
awesome.
learning how to really master social media with that experience.
Yeah, and I was with them for a year. You know, I mean, it kept me like really organized too. I mean, I worked with like 4 or 5 different brands, just scheduling out their content every single week. And you know, in the midst of that, I got a call about the Bachelorette being on the show, and
Where did that come from? Like,
oh, my sister, in the midst of COVID or right before COVID hit, um, um, put in like my picture, sent it in, and
did you
like
notice she was doing that or
I
no?
had no idea at first. I thought it was like an LA number, and I thought it was my buddies pranking me. And they kept on being like, "No, like this is like for real. This is so and so from Bachelorette." And like I really thought like I remember hanging up on them, and then they called back, and I thought it was like my buddies just shitting with me. Um, and I eventually just said like, screw it. I mean, they flew me out to LA to like do like some like very extensive interview. The whole interview process was nuts. I mean, you're talking to like this psychologist, like top notch psychologist, like out in LA. I mean, he's like grilling you. It was quite
Just to make
interesting.
sure that your motives, or what is he checking? Just
No,
to,
not just motives. I mean, just to be like, okay, this person's like okay mentally to be on the show. I think pretty much to see where you are in life, or
gotcha.
yeah.
And then you go out for the interview. What's the next step in that process?
So like I went out for the interview, and then like the next step is like I think they probably flew out like 60 guys to interview for like whoever they think is like gonna be the perfect fit with the girl. Um, and we don't know at the time. I mean, we know like the candidates of like who it's gonna be. We give our insight of like who we would like it to be, and I think that they take that into account also. But you know, about 2 weeks after, they reached out and said like, all right, like you're gonna join us, and then they flew me out. I believe it was like it was the first week of March, and then as I'm sitting in the hotel room, they take your phone, everything away. I just remember just like watching. It was like March Madness was on. I remember watching the games and stuff, and then all of a sudden, um, who was it in the NBA? Rudy Gobert
Oh yeah, with
was like
COVID.
screwing with like the mics and
Yeah,
everything, and like they just shut everything down,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like everything had to be like everything came to a halt, and they were like, we're actually gonna fly you back home, and like they already like released our photos, so like everyone knew like then like who was gonna be a part of it, and like we weren't supposed to be talking about it. It was like this really weird stage that like it's never happened before.
So then you went back home for COVID. When did they circle back and say, okay, now we can finally do this?
I mean, then like the also like the Bachelorette was released. It was Claire who was gonna be the Bachelorette. Um, they reached back out to me. I forget when they started filming again. It was in the summer at some point.
So that's summer.
Yeah, that summer. And I mean, I was just honest with them. I was just like, I just like really just like don't feel like her and I are gonna be a fit. Um, and I mean, you know, they also put in their 2 cents. You know, like at the end of the day, they're trying to build up build up enough people to like have a TV show.
Yeah,
You know, so they don't need everybody to be like the woman's best fit.
yeah,
Um, so they're also like trying to like they're kind of beating around the bush, but I was kind of like understanding like maybe that's like where they're like headed with this. Like maybe like I would just be this like shoe in, and I just didn't. If I was gonna go with this, I wanted to be with a person who like who. If I was gonna put myself on like this type of like stage or platform, I wanted to be with a person like who I thought I was gonna connect with. And I just like passed on it. And then they called me 6 months later. It was weird. It was on my dad's anniversary, December 30th. And they were like, we'd love to have you back if you're open to it. And I just took the opportunity and just went with it.
So that was the next round.
That was the next round. Yeah.
Next round. So you give you credit though, turning it down, man.
Yeah.
You know, having principles. Most people would just did it no matter what. So you go back out
Yeah.
to LA.
Well, no, it was called like a bubble that we went to. So we went to some place in New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, some resort that they turned into like it was cool what they turned
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
And you guys lived in a house?
Yeah, it was more like a resort.
So
But
you had okay.
they gave us like
different rooms.
they like put everything together. We had our own living area, kitchen. It was pretty cool.
Each guy.
No,
Or just you
just
guys.
like us as like they considered like the house in
And
general.
I was Devin's a huge fan of it. But
Right.
what as far as like the rooming, how does that go?
They just gave us like our own rooms, and like we kind
You
of
get
just
your
like
own rooms, okay.
bunked up. Well, we bunked up with like one guy each.
The guy's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everyone was awesome.
And
Yeah,
then obviously she kept picking you all the way to the final show. So
Right.
And then can you talk about that? Like
yeah,
that situation?
yeah. I mean, looking back on it, it's interesting because you always get like tagged in clips like from time to time, and like it's weird to look back on. What point in my life like I was in when I was like on the show. But I mean, it was just like it was a really bad. I mean, showing on my part with like the type of like way like that I handled it. Like I ended up leaving on my own. I truly just like didn't feel like that we were like mutually on the same spot. I wasn't able to express it the same way. I also leaned on her during that time to like, looking back on it's crazy. Like what I thought was like healthy at the time, like I was almost feeling for the first time in my life, like that, like I'm feeling like love and like normalcy again. Like after like since like the passing of my dad. And like after that, after watching it on the show, after like learning like more about like what I had to go through, I was like, holy shit, like I need like a lot of therapy still like through this. And like I need to like mentally like grow way more than like I ever like understood. Yeah.
And what was it like having to because she wanted you, right?
I mean, I was one of the guys that she was definitely heavily considering. Yeah.
And what's her name again?
Katie.
Katie.
Yeah.
Any like when you guys go through the final episodes or whatever, obviously she probably felt hurt, right? I would imagine.
I
So
imagine,
like,
yeah.
what was that like? Did you ever have contact with her again, or was it like?
No, I mean, it was tough just because like there was like such like a little social media, like I felt like little war going on. There was like so many people that were like on her side. There were so many people on my side, and it just like felt like you could cut just like the tension with a knife. The tension was just like at an all-time high, and it was a weird spot to be in because like you want to reach out, you want to be like, listen, like I apologize for how everything went, but like I really didn't know. Like I also needed to see it and like understand like more like what happened first before leading up to it, because I really didn't like think like in the midst of it, because like during a fight like you only like want to like almost like justify yourself, and it'd be like, yeah, like like I definitely was right, but then like watching it back you're like, holy shit, like but it was tough because like I knew that she was with engaged to the guy Blake, who ended up I guess like winning the show with her, and it was tough to reach out. It was just a hard
After
spot
the
to be in.
fact.
Yeah.
But how was it like even forming that relationship in that type of setting? Was it genuine, or was it?
For me it definitely was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about like everyone. I can only imagine like how many genuine connections there can be with one group. It seemed like she did have like a solid like few connections though. And you grow close with the guys. I grew really close with her, especially like introducing her to my family. You just feel like
Yeah.
you're at a different level than everyone else.
Yeah.
So just like having that time with her, having that time like introducing her to your mom and like really letting her in your life, you definitely really feel connected with the person.
Where was she from again?
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah.
So you go through that, and then, so when you guys were having like after that show though, and you said it was like a social media war. At that point with social, so when you started the show, what did you see as far as your social media? Did people just start coming out in droves and following you? Like, did it just explode your social media or
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I jumped on the first night, like after like I received like the first rose or whatever the first night. Like it was weird to like see. I think like I grew like 30 to 40,000 in like the
overnight?
first like 8 hours
Wow.
after. And I was like, shit, like this is like crazy, you know. And then like just like being like recognized in public was like a bit awkward.
Yeah.
You just like don't know how to take it. You know, it's almost flattering, but it's just like it's also like kind of just like
Strange.
it's just so strange. It's just a strange aspect, like the beginning stages of it all.
And then when you guys had that, the you know, the war, as you called it, I'm guessing there was probably a lot of growth in social media at that point too,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
for sure. I mean, there was a lot of growth. There was just like a lot of rumors about like my intentions on the show. There was like rumors that like I just wanted to be this actor. That's the only reason
Yeah, I
why.
had heard that,
Yeah, that's
and
the
I don't
only
even know
reason.
how I heard that. I'm like,
Yeah,
how the
that's
hell?
that's the only reason why I wanted to go on the show. People were saying, and it was tough, you know, because like you all, I just wanted to just like be silent, you know, because just like as soon as like you address one thing, then like everyone just like starts like nitpicking like what you say, and like I didn't feel like I had anything to like prove to anyone. I knew why I was on the show. I really didn't know what was going to come out of it. I'm not like a fortune teller. I went on because it was, in my opinion, like I was single. I knew it was going to be a cool experience. I knew it was going to be a great girl to meet. I mean, it was a hard opportunity to pass up. I didn't know it was going to come from it though.
Yeah, and then like what happened after it? When you make it to that stage, social media is blowing up. At that point, you probably had how many followers?
What, towards the end?
Yeah,
It was like roughly
four
400,000.
hundred
Yeah.
thousand. And then after the show was done, what like were opportunities presenting themselves during the show, or was it after the show was done? Now did you have an agent at that point? Like, what
Yeah.
happens?
I mean, in the midst of the show, I mean, you're kind of like just catapulted into like this whole entire new world. And, you know, the show doesn't really, y- their job is to make the show. Their job is not to be like, all right, Greg, this is like what you should do next up for social media. So you really don't have anybody.
Sure.
So I mean, it was definitely a tough, I just kind of just got thrown into the trenches a little bit. I mean, you know, you're getting reached out to just like by a bunch of managers. You're starting to like take meetings with different people like who can like represent you. And I didn't know like where this would go. I didn't know the world that I was getting like brought into. I didn't know what type of opportunities it would bring, but it was definitely, I thought it was definitely important for me like after the show to like start like, you know, understanding like the world that I was in. So I definitely started taking like meetings, and like I finally met somebody like a manager like who seemed to be like understanding of my situation, and was also like, you know, giving me like a lot of positive outlook on like what I can do, how I can like, you know, help people if I want to start a nonprofit out. And yeah, I mean, it was a awesome route to take.
And so you found a
Yeah.
and all that, and so like, what's the business now? What's the business of Greg Rippo? Do you get through your social media? Like, what are you doing with it?
I mean, it's nice to have like a platform that I'm able to just like put out what I believe in, whether it's just like all like my good times or like being able to like be open about like mental health or like my struggles in life. I think like what's really exciting for me is this year, like I'm really set on creating like a nonprofit. I mean, I was one of like the few kids in my school to gain a full scholarship. So like I really would love to be able to, you
At
know,
prep or at prep?
St.
St.
Michael's.
Michael's, okay.
Yeah. So like I really want to be able to in some way give to someone, you know, like cancer like almost like seems like there's just so many nonprofits, and like I don't feel like I would almost like have a direct effect on somebody, like no matter like how much money I give like to cancer research, like I don't know like the direct effect like it would have. But like if like I'm able to like in some way, you know, start a nonprofit and like create like an event that like is able to even like pay off like a semester of somebody's tuition, like I feel like it would like create like a good impact, and like I really want to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So you got that going on, creating a nonprofit, and then have other shows. Like, what's that world like? They reach out to you after that, or
Yeah. I mean, I was reached out to not by many shows, honestly. I mean, like here and there, like a dating show would like reach out, but I was also like in like a contract with ABC, and like I really didn't want to do another dating show after. It was just I was just getting back to like normalcy in my life, and I was really enjoying just like being with my friends and just enjoying with my life again. Like I really did not want to like start that like, oh, like of course Greg's going on the show again. He's just like I just like didn't want to invite more negativity in my life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no shows at this point.
No shows. No shows.
No.
Yeah.
What if it was like a non-dating show that wanted you to?
I mean, it depends on, the premise of the show. Like if it had to do with like showing like good times in my life, or like me helping somebody, or me just being part of something like, bigger, like absolutely.
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
Or even like Survivor.
Survivor would be
Yeah.
cool, man.
Hell
You should
yeah.
apply for that.
Hell yeah.
Should do it. There's a girl at the Hillsborough gym telling me she's a huge Survivor fan.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
She sent me all the stuff. I guess you shoot all this film and
Yeah. Yeah.
that'd
It
be pretty
seems
neat, man.
fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So now you're living down in Nashville primarily,
Yeah. Primarily. Yeah.
right? And you're dating Victoria.
Yes.
Yeah. And how did you guys meet?
We met over a year and a half ago. We met at this like a concert, like Gov Ball, that's like hosted in New York City every single
Okay.
year. We met about a year and a half ago. She was dating somebody. So I mean, we just like stayed friends, and then there was always just like a little bit of like a spark between us throughout like our time, like of knowing each other. And at least in my opinion, she doesn't like to admit it, but I think that it was always there. But then like after this past summer, she ended up getting engaged on Paradise. And then after she broke it off, we ended up meeting again at this party. And I mean, her and I haven't seen each other at this point for like 9 months. And we just hit it off. It was like there was like no time missing in between. It was just like all easy, and like it was a tough time because like her show hasn't even started airing. Meanwhile, she's supposed to be like quote unquote engaged, and like we almost had to like date behind like closed doors.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how did she get picked up by Paradise? Like what was her story?
I mean, she had, I don't want to call it like a similar story, but I mean, like she also received like a lot of backlash, like me, on her season. And she, I mean, I'm sure the producers have been after her for a little while to like go on Paradise, because she's, like a big name in the world that we're in, and they invited her. She was open to it, and yeah, she just shot her shot.
And where was her season as far as the actual show, the main show, compared to yours? Like how far apart? Was it the same year? Was it?
So like the year that I said that like I went on before COVID, I was getting interviewed like during her season. So
Okay.
like she was one of the girls that was like on like the list to possibly be the Bachelorette, and she was the girl that I was like, I would like Victoria to be the Bachelorette. Because they ask you like, who do you want?
yeah.
Like who are you interested in? I was like, Victoria's definitely somebody who I'm definitely interested in.
And when you guys ran into each other at the concert and the party later on, is that just from running in the same circles from being on the show?
Yeah. I mean, it was just like through the same circle. I didn't know that she was going to be at the party, but it just so happened that she was there, her and I at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you guys went to Europe over the summer, no?
Yeah, we went to Italy, which
Yeah.
like created just such a shitstorm for us.
Why is that?
Just because it was in the midst of her show being filmed, and like they're representing this like love story between her and another guy, and meanwhile then she's getting photographed with me. So then everyone
Who was photographed? Like paparazzi or just like fans?
not paparazzi, just like fans that
Yeah,
like
with the phones now? Right?
yeah, just fans that recognized us, and it sucked because like it didn't seem like it definitely came off as disrespectful, but like in our eyes we were trying to be as respectful as possible,
Yeah.
by like keeping like a low profile, as we thought. Like we don't walk down like any street in the world. Like I don't walk down in like New York City being like, oh, I'm gonna get noticed on every block, and like I don't fly out to Italy being like, I'm definitely gonna get noticed. Maybe like one or two people, but like I have also a hat on down to like my eyebrows and like sunglasses on, so I'm like, if like those one or two people like see me, maybe they'll do a double take, but they're definitely not going to be like, oh, that was Greg.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was my thought like going into it.
Where'd you go in Italy?
We went to Rome
Rome was
for a few days, and then we went to Capri, and then back to Rome, and then
Nice.
flew out back.
Yeah, you did the
home.
Coliseum?
Yeah, we
we
did.
did
That's
that
where we
this-
got caught.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Coliseum was cool, man.
yeah, it was pretty crazy.
That was nuts.
Yeah.
Rome was like crazy impressive.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
breathtaking. It really is.
Beautiful.
Man. It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
Like you can see, I remember looking up at the Coliseum. I was in the Coliseum looking up, and I'm like, man, you can see how intimidating this place was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going back like 1,000. Even now, like the architecture, everything was nuts, man.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff there. So now you guys are down, you and Victoria are down in Nashville, and you're working on a nonprofit. What else? Is there anything else on the horizon?
Yeah. Discussing possibly a podcast with one of my best friends from the show, Andrew.
Nice.
Have being able to just like partner with brands has been like a huge blessing.
Yes.
Being able to like be like flown out to places or being able to like attend events like the Super Bowl has been just like such a blessing through all of this.
Nice. And your manager gets you all those?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the connections that like you make by like going to different events,
Okay.
the hands that you shake, like
relationships.
it's all the relationships you create. Yeah.
So that's cool, man. So you went out to the Super Bowl this year?
No, last year.
Last
Year. Yeah. And I went to the US Open this year. It was
Cool.
it was a blast. I haven't been a huge tennis fan in my life, but I mean, damn, it was incredible.
That's neat, man.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
So last thing I guess I would ask you, what advice would you give? Because how old are you now?
29.
29. So if you could think back to somebody in their early 20s or even 5 years ago, like people that they're not quite sure what they want to do with their life or any of that stuff, what would you tell them?
I would try to tell them to not be too hard on themselves. That, just if you continue to have a good work ethic, and if you continue to have a good work ethic and, try to do good every single day by yourself, whether it's mentally, physically, you're going to get to where you want to go, I think, naturally. So just try to have some patience. Just remember that you're young and that you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure it out, man. I think it's awesome that you turned down that first season.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see what it led to.
Yeah.
Would have been the easy choice would have been.
I appreciate that.
Let me just do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, man. It's been cool watching your journey, man.
Thank you,
Cool.
man.
So when people see this, where should they follow you at? What's the best place?
Yeah, Instagram is a good one. That's just my name, Greg Grippo. Or TikTok is the same, just Greg J. Grippo.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then if you guys are watching this, you can follow me at the Panda Man Official on Instagram. So we'll get this out to you guys. A lot of good stuff in here. You might want to get out your notepad. There's a lot of, I always say success leaves clues. So you can kind of see what Greg did, guys, and follow that path. He didn't know exactly where it was going to lead. He still doesn't, but none of us do, right? But, he made it work, and, he's faced a lot of adversity. But the story's cool, man. Keep it up, and talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Yep.